What if I told you that the brain of a billionaire and the brain of a struggling 25-year-old may be far more similar than most people imagine? What if success, motivation, discipline, and even intelligence are less about the raw brain you were born with and more about how you train it over years and decades? Today, we're diving into a question that sits at the intersection of science and possibility. Can you physically see success inside a brain? Do high achievers have different brains? Do entrepreneurs have bigger brains? Can motivation be measured? And why do some people feel unstoppable while others feel stuck? The answers are surprising and, if taken to heart, profoundly liberating. They suggest that your current habits and daily choices are the clearest path to changing the organ that decides your fate. The billionaire brain myth. Many people imagine that elite achievers possess fundamentally different brains, that somewhere inside the skull of Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or any other top performer there exists a special structure, a success center, a genius circuit, a hidden advantage baked into biology. Neuroscience paints a different picture. The broad architecture of the human brain is remarkably consistent across individuals. The same major regions, the same types of neurons, the same neurotransmitters and basic circuits exist in almost everyone. The dopamine pathways that motivate action, the hippocampus that supports memory, the amygdala that processes fear, these are shared components of our common neural machinery. So where do differences come from? Often not from hardware, but from software. Not from an extra brain piece, but from patterns of activation, reinforced pathways, and the history of experiences that have sculpted a person's nervous system. In short, it's not the brain you were born with so much as the brain you've trained. Your brain is a living adaptation machine. The brain is not a static organ sitting unchanged beneath the skull. It is plastic, constantly remodeling itself in response to what you do, feel, and think. Neuroscientists call this ability neuroplasticity. Every conversation you have, every exercise session, every book you read, every habit you repeat, every risk you take, they all leave biological fingerprints. Synapses strengthen through repeated use. Seldom used connections weaken or are pruned away. In some cases, new cells and supporting structures form. In others, myelin, the insulating sheath that speeds neural signals, increases around frequently used pathways. This is the biological basis of learning. The brain is continually asking, often unconsciously, should I keep this circuit or should I delete it? Repetition is the answer key. What you repeatedly do, you become better at. What you consistently avoid fades into the background. Why the first 25 years matter? One robust finding in neuroscience is that developmental plasticity is particularly high during youth. The late childhood, adolescence, and early adult years, often described as extending through the mid-20s, are a window in which the brain is especially receptive to environmental input. During this period, the brain rapidly builds language abilities, motor skills, social instincts, emotional regulation, and foundational learning strategies. Habits and identities form more easily because circuits are more malleable. That said, this doesn't mean learning stops at age 25. Far from it. The brain remains plastic across the lifespan, but the tendency is for change to require more intentionality later in life. More deliberate practice, more focused effort, clearer goals, and greater consistency to produce equivalent neural change. The real motivation circuit. Where does motivation live? Not in a single magic spot. Motivation emerges from ancient survival circuitry that predates modern life by millions of years. Networks that involve dopamine-producing pathways, the basal ganglia, and connections between reward, memory, and executive systems. These circuits evolved to solve simple problems: find food, hydrate, seek shelter, reproduce, avoid danger. Today, the same systems drive far more abstract pursuits: building companies, writing novels, training for marathons, or launching rockets. The circuitry is the same, only the goals have changed. Crucially, dopamine doesn't simply encode happiness. It signals prediction, salience, and the promise of future reward. It responds to progress, cues, and learned associations. That means motivation is negotiable. It can be cultivated by structuring experiences so that your brain expects and recognizes incremental wins. Why some people stay stuck. Here's a key insight. The brain doesn't automatically reward the things you say you want. It rewards whatever you've trained it to value. If your history is full of quick, easy pleasures, sugary snacks, stimulating apps, bingeable entertainment, Your brain becomes highly attuned to immediate gratification. It learns fast how to get a fast dopamine hit. Conversely, if you have practiced delayed gratification, embraced challenge, and learned to derive satisfaction from incremental progress, your brain will increasingly reward the process itself. This is why high performers often appear to enjoy the grind. They've trained their nervous systems to find value in effort and learning. Progress becomes intrinsically motivating. For others, effort is associated with discomfort and little perceived reward, so avoidance becomes the default. Memory is not the static storage box where the past is filed away intact. The science says otherwise. Memory is reconstructive. Every time you recall an event, your brain rebuilds it from pieces. Each reconstruction is an opportunity for revision. That's why two witnesses can have different memories of the same event, and why strong emotions can make memories feel more vivid. Emotion acts as a highlighter, signaling relevance. The brain asks, does this matter? If the answer is yes, the memory is strengthened. If not, it gradually fades. This is part of the brain's economy. It conserves resources by prioritizing what matters now. The success equation. When scientists study exceptional performers across domains, a pattern emerges. It's rarely a single factor like higher IQ, a larger brain, or a predetermined gene. Instead, consistent engagement with meaningful repetition shows up over and over. Practice, persistence, curiosity, and purpose. The nervous system adapts to whatever you feed it. A violinist's brain develops finely tuned auditory and motor networks. An athlete's brain and body optimize movement and timing. An entrepreneur's brain hones decision-making and risk-reward assessment. A writer's language networks become richer and more flexible. In every case, the brain literally becomes shaped by the life it lives. Your environment is rewriting your brain. One of the most underestimated truths of neuroscience is that your environment becomes biology. The people you spend time with, the conversations you have, the media you consume, the books you read, your sleep and exercise habits, all of these inputs influence neural architecture. Your environment signals what is important. The brain reallocates resources accordingly. Surround yourself with novelty, coaching, challenge, and high standards, and your brain will adapt to meet them. Surround yourself with distraction, stress, and indulgence, and those patterns will be reinforced instead. In this way, culture, context, and habit literally become wiring, behaviorally, psychologically, and biologically. The biggest lesson. The most hopeful finding from modern neuroscience is this: you are not trapped by your current brain. The nervous system remains adaptable throughout life, not infinitely and not instantly. Change usually requires time, deliberate practice, and repetition, but continuously and meaningfully. Every new skill you practice, every workout you finish, every meditation session, every book you read, every difficult conversation you have leaves a trace. Those traces compound over time into new patterns of thought, feeling, and action, and ultimately into a different brain. If we opened the brain of a billionaire and compared it with the brain of someone who feels stuck, we would likely see subtle differences, not a mysterious success organ, but experience-driven adaptations. The billionaire's brain might show networks honed by years of specific decisions, habits, and exposures. The other brain might show different emphases. That's the empowering part. The difference is not destiny. It is accumulated choice. Your brain is not a fixed verdict. It is an ongoing project. What you repeat today becomes the person you are tomorrow. So if your goal is to change who you are, start changing what you repeat. Small, consistent actions add up. The brain rewards patterns. Over weeks, months, and years, those patterns become your abilities, your temperament, and your identity. And that, perhaps, is the most powerful idea in neuroscience. Your future brain is being built by the choices you make right now. OXYZEN question of the day. What is one habit you're practicing today that your future brain will thank you for? Better sleep? Regular exercise? Reading a challenging book? Daily meditation? Learning a new skill? Share your answer in the comments below, because articulating a habit is often the first step to reinforcing it. Do visit us at oxyzen.ai for more health insight information.